What's going on, YouTube? Just wanted to make this video. Thing with these darts is that they don't tell you everything you got to do with them. You can look through the YouTube and not find many things you want to know about these cars, but when it comes to stereos, well, you got to go through 10 different websites and all these different YouTube videos to get piece by piece. So to get it all in one shot is pretty much the best way to do it. It's a 2013 Dodge Dart Riley. Yeah, so to install an amp, there's a lot to it. First things first, don't pull your deck apart. Don't pull your dashboard apart to get to your deck, because the wires behind your deck are all black. You don't know what's what. And don't pull your pillars apart, meaning in between your passenger and driver and all the other stuff where the side airbags are, because you're not going to find what you want there either. Only place you're going to find your wires for your line out converter is going to be right in here on the side, and they'll be whitish gray with a purple. They're twisted together. Those are the ones you want to look for. And what they don't tell you in the other videos or other things is the other spot is on the passenger side for your right line out converter line, and that will be a green, and you have two different sets of wires. You don't want to go through the thick, really thick wad of wires. There's thin ones you can actually see they go into the door. Like I said, those are green, and they'll have a yellow line. So let's see, I'll show you the under the hood. I'm not big on making videos, but because I spent so much time trying to figure this out, trial and error. Just washed my car last night, so it's leaking fluid, or not fluid, water out of the hood. So I keep this pretty clean. The one wire that you'll want to go to for your fuse, for your remote wire, is going to be in here. Let me just get this open. Give me 1 second. And I will kind of edit this as I'm going along, so you guys don't have to drag it out. Try to make it short as possible. This is where your remote wire will go into. It only turns your amp on when you turn it on the full starting position. Not run, accessory run, but it works as long as you have a point to give your amp signal turn on. And with the power wire, it is in here, which is the easiest spot to do it and run it. And believe me, these cars are not easy to pull apart. So if it jumps from one point to another, that's because it takes a lot to get to these pieces, and they don't snap back in as easy as you think. So these pieces here pop in very complicated, usually, but I've done it a few times. And just to give you a heads up, I have not used the best quality of wires, speakers, amps, just thrown together, kinda, but it works. It's a pretty clean car. I like it. It's got some pros and cons, but yeah. Still fresh in the morning, kinda, but I've been wanting to make this video just in case somebody's trying to put a system in their car. Yeah, all the wires were black on the back of the radio, which didn't help at all. Let's see. I tucked all my wires, my power through this side here, with my one set of speaker wires, which runs to my line out converter in my trunk, because I didn't want to put it all up front, but it's pretty neat and clean. I've seen a lot of choppy videos about how to put stereos in these, which is why I'm making this, because it was pretty ugly from what I saw. Pop my trunk. Hopefully I'll make this too long. It's already going on 5 minutes. I have to get right to the point, but I don't want to leave anything out either. Ran all my wires through here. Pretty clean up through here. And this is not even done yet, because what I'm going to do is get one of those kind of ribbed wire covers so it don't look all choppy like this. This to me is even choppy. But I tucked my line out converter down there. And I did use my front speakers for my line out converter. So I covered up the rest of them. So, on the most point, it's neat. It's neat, and it's not finished yet. At least I have a base to work with. You're gonna see my semi-okay amp. It's not the best. Like I said, everything's kind of thrown in here. This is my Power Acoustic amp, which is pretty old, but I'm gonna upgrade all this shortly. And for my ground, I put it up here. There's a bolt that you bolt in your back seat with. I cleaned it up pretty well, mounted the wire under there, which was pretty easy. No ripping stuff apart. So, that being said, the ground is pretty solid. I only have one sub in here right now because that pumps more than enough. And yes, I did use, like I said, a kind of a crappy speaker, but it does the job. I did blow the cap off of the front, which I Loctited it back together. Learned that from my job, Loctite everything. Yeah, probably customize a box and probably still have only one sub, bigger and better sub. But do mount your amp down, don't just throw it in here loosely. You don't want that banging around. And it looks stupid when you open your trunk. It's sideways, flopping around. So, let's see. Yep, I ran the right front speaker wire all the way to the back, as I did with the left front speaker wire, to my line out converter. All that is neatly tucked. You don't gotta pull your door speakers apart. None of that crap. The plastic lower pillars pop apart pretty easy. You don't have to chop anything up. Like I said, when you open it, this right here, same thing with the driver's side, will go through. It's a same size tube. It's pretty small. Don't mistake it for the thick one on the side here. When you pull this apart, this pops up. There's a tab that goes inwards. Same with the driver's side. So you lift this piece up, and this will pull right out. They pop out really easy. It's really hard. Hopefully you guys don't break them, because they're really not that hard to pop out. It's kind of an idiot-proof thing. I pulled all this apart. The top, the front, got the deck out to find out every single wire is black. Something that Chrysler does. Same thing with the side pillars. The door speaker wire is different color from what's in here, which is a clip, and that's totally useless unless you are a Chrysler and you know the wires inside out, which even those are hard to find, and they won't tell you because they don't want you tampering with this stuff. So I'm telling you this so that you don't go screwing stuff up, because you can, which is pretty common. So let's see what else. Yeah, I did pull these pillars apart, like as I said, and I got no worries because none of the colors match up on what the diagram says. There's one that you find on the internet that's like a white page, and it tells you the colors. They're somewhat accurate because the white looks like, well, the gray that they say, the gray and violet for the driver's side looks like white, so I'm going to say white and violet. That'll be wrapped together. And for the passenger is green with a yellow line, and the other green one has like a really dark purplish blue kind of color with the green. There's only one of those in there, so you can't screw that up. And it tells you in the one diagram for the driver's side The one with the purple line is positive, and the one on the green with the green and the yellow, I believe, is positive. But if you have any questions, you can ask me, and I could pull up my thing and tell you 100%. I'm pretty sure that the one with the yellow is positive, and the one on the driver's side is positive. So let's see. I will play it for you real quick. I don't know how the quality of sound will be, but I mean, from what it pounds good enough. I didn't want to have anything too crazy. Not that it's that crazy now, but it sounds really, really good. These stock stereos in these cars sound pretty decent compared to most of them from what I hear. It does have the 8.4-inch touchscreen with a 500 watt built-in amp to the stereos. I'm guessing that the rear, I think, is what's hooked up to that amp, because I don't think they have the whole thing hooked up to the amp. That's what I'm guessing. That's what I'm thinking. Don't quote me on that. Could be wrong. But let's see. At 11 minutes, you guys can always fast forward this too if you like. Doesn't matter. And as far as the power wire, there is a huge rubber grommet, and it is a pain in the butt to get through, but it's really not that hard. Just take a knife, kind of like poke it in there, do like a cross, so this way there's enough, because I got a pretty thick wire that goes in there. I will show you that, because a lot of people, from what I saw, were like, where do you put the power wire through? It's really hard. Let me just show you that one more time. I'm going to pause the video. So try to make this the best way I can. If you look through here, where is it? It's, like I said, it's really hard to see. And the lighting, even when you shine the light down there, you got this electronic brake module here. Either way, it is not easy. I can tell you that this was probably the hardest thing through the whole entire stereo. But it's back there. You can see it. You won't see it through this video very well, even though I have an LG V20 and the video quality is pretty good. But the power wire and the remote wire is running through the rubber grommet. If you go underneath, it's easier. Maybe that's where I'll show you, because that's hard to see through there. When you poke it through here, you know what you're looking for, but when you do it through the firewall, you don't. So the rubber grommet is right there. It's right up there. There's only one big rubber grommet underneath there, so you can't mess that up either. And nicely tucked. It's my OBD2 port that I use. I use Torque Pro. Tells me my boost and temperatures, and tells me it's operating at the right temperature, which is a pretty cool app. You can look at that on the App Store. It's called Torque Pro. Torque Pro Lite works good too. It's not too much to hooking up an amp, so it came out pretty clean considering what I was using. Did upgrade the rims on this because the stock ones were not as good as I wanted them to be. Looks pretty good. I like it. Pretty sharp little car. The dual exhaust. The rims poke a little bit because I got 1.25-inch spacers, which are adapters, because the rims on this are hard to find and they're very expensive because of the lug pattern is so rare. I know this is going to be about stereos, but this will be a little bit about everything, kind of. I spent a good amount of time on this Dart trying to figure out what's what. It's not a normal car to come across to upgrade things because they don't make too many things. But the adapters screw in through your stock lug nuts, and then you get lug nuts with the adapters. They do not come with hub-centric rings, which sucks because you may get a little wheel hop if you don't line them up properly. I did pretty good. I get a smidge, and that's only at like 90, and that's only when you kind of press on the gas. It's I know it sounds stupid, but that's how it is because you don't line them up perfectly without hub-centric rings, and those ones are about $300. The ones I got were about 60 bucks. But I wanted rims badly, so that's what I did. But they poke a little bit. This is one thing I was always wondering. How badly are they going to poke? And they don't poke that much. And I did put the engine intake on there. I did swap the engine filter. Put a K&N filter in there. And that came out pretty clean. I did put that rubber there, so in case it, for some reason, which it wouldn't, don't even come close to rubbing, but it just looks stupid. So that's about it. It's pretty clean. I got this 2 years ago. Do not like the front plate on there, even though it's against the law in New York State, but I think it looks so much better without it. And what I'm going to do now at 15 minutes is show you what the car stereo sounds like, but very briefly, because neighbors will complain, kind of, whatever. I'm going to pause it now and then let you hear what it sounds like. Alright, that's why I tried to pause it so you guys ain't got to sit through too much crap. Let's start it up and show you what it sounds like and what I did with it. I do turn my amps 3/4 of the way up and my bass stack all the way down because it'll be too much bass. So, I'm going to show you what I mean by the amp turns on. This is normally where your ignition would turn on your amp, but I didn't go to that fuse. I just tapped into the one that I showed in the video. Here's where it turns on. So my radio, put it on radio for now. I go into my audio and turn my equalizer pretty much all the way down, because it'd be stupid bass, especially for one speaker. Let's see.
In so many ways.
Wish I could show you with my phone radio. I use Pandora.
But once he retired, like,
I do not have my TPMS sensors in, so that's why my tire pressure light comes on.
Is there something about the
I can deal with that.
They did get along. You say this is a cherished memory where you look and you said the two of them were.
Old ass song.
For old gear, I already know, and this is being a.
Let's see. CD. I got something my buddy gave me a while back. Older, but. Showing you that it works. That's it. This sounds a lot better when you hook up Pandora. Just showing you that it works. Everything's on low pass, so there's no trouble coming out of it. There's my levels, about 3/4 of the way. These amps are funny when you adjust them. I'm not gonna pump it loud because my neighbors, but it pumps. I'm not gonna turn it up because I'm not into that annoying my neighbors shit. This one here's got the racetrack lights. I don't care if you see my license plate. Lucky to blip the blockers out. Got some Testify on. What else is on there? None of these songs really have bass. I did kill my battery in the beginning because I didn't wire it in right, so I got a brand new battery. And when I say I didn't wire it in there right, I mean I kind of put it on all the time. It's kind of hard to explain, but if I lower my seat, you'll be able to get a better idea of how it sounds. I don't care if this video is 20 minutes long, because you'll appreciate it. Because this ain't that easy to hook up. It bumps really good for one sub, and that's not even that great of a sub either. The amp is okay. It's a 980 power acoustic. And let's see. That running. These motors always, the way these Dodge Dart 1.4 liter turbos, Fiat, Abarth style, whatever. The Abarth 500, if sound correct. They're quick little cars. But that is it. Let me close my hood. I hope that some Dart owner that plans on putting a stereo in a car appreciates the video, because I don't even care for making videos too often. But when it comes to these cars, they're not easy not to put a stereo in. Like I said, if you have any questions, you can ask away, and I'll tell you. I don't think I'll ever forget this kind of hookup, because this is one of the more pain in the ass ones that I've done. The door skins do not come off easy. They're very easy to break. But because I have my deck base all the way down, it'd be rare to damage these stock speakers. There's no bass coming out of them, so they sound pretty clear and crispy. Basically, I got my highs and my mids in my door, and I got my bass coming out of my trunk, and it equals out to be pretty well. I could turn my amp bass down if I want and not have so much bass, but it sounds crystal clear and the bass hits perfect. I did have to turn my amp bass down a little bit because it was overpowering at a low level, like when I just wanted to hear it low, so I'd turn that down. But yeah, some of these Dart videos I saw with installing stereos, they don't go through all of it like this. And I was definitely going to make a video because I was kind of not liking what I was finding for these cars to put stereos in. And I didn't want to pull things apart and break them. The dashboard ones were pretty on point with how they come apart and how they go back together. Although I can tell you right now, this one clip up here is plastic. They break easy. Something that they don't say. So don't pull this apart, because you don't have to. Let the dealership do that for any reason, whether it's to replace your stereo, your Bluetooth. Just don't mess with it. You don't have to. Everything is through your door pillars and your trunk and the rubber grommet in the wall, and the firewall, and your runners here. Like I said, they pull apart pretty easy. Same thing with this. The wires are really the harnesses for them that go down are like this, and there's another ones in there that are like this. Don't pull those apart. You got to cut those open to avoid that. And after I wired them in, I taped them back shut again, so it's neat and clean. You don't want to have open wires. So just don't do a crappy job. And if you have any questions, please ask, and I'll be more than happy to tell you. Other than that, peace out, YouTube.